Hello, Hinano-san. Thanks for joining us. This is the second day of GAD and the first session of our breakout sessions about demystifying the Japanese airport concession market. I'm Stephane Beaulieu. I'm with Modalis Infrastructure Partners. And today joining us is Junya Saito from Sojitz. He's the manager airport project section. Airport and Transportation Infrastructure Department, Aerospace and Transportation Project Division, and Benoit Rulleau from VINCI, who is the co-CEO of Kansai Airports. Thank you for being here. I asked both of you to join because you're two very different companies. Saito-san, Sojitz is kind of, I remember when we first met about 5 years ago, Sojitz was still just getting into the airport business. And Benoit is with VINCI. VINCI has been in the airport business for a long time. And VINCI has been one of the first operator to benefit from the privatization of Japanese airports. So I thought you were bringing like two very different perspectives on the Japanese airport market. And so that's why I thought it would be an interesting discussion. So I'd like maybe to start Saito-san, because it's a very interesting. I've seen what you've done over the last 5 years, and it's been a very interesting, a lot of interesting actions that you've taken, and I'd like you to tell us a little more about that. I think now you're involved in 7 airports, including 2 in Japan.
Right.
And so I'm very curious to know, you've been involved in privatization in 2 completely different worlds, in Japan and outside of Japan.
Yes.
And I'd like you, except for the language, are there like big differences between the process between Japan and outside of Japan? And what's easier and what's harder and why?
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Junya Saito. As Stephane-san introduced me, I'm section manager of Sojitz Corporation. And as he introduced, we have passed through the airport project for about 5 years. And recently, we achieved the 2 domestic airports involvement. As you can see the screen, these are the 7 airports which our company involved in the O&M. And 5 of the 7 are located in the Asia and Pacific, and the 2 airports located in Japan. And 1 airport, which called Shimojishima Airport, that is located in the Okinawa Prefecture, and that is not the concession of the government. That airport used to be managed by the prefecture, Okinawa Prefecture, and our co-investing partner Mitsubishi Real Estate owned the concession right from the Okinawa Prefecture, and they established the O&M company, and they invited us to invest. And we Sojitz hold the shares of 15%, and we started the operation at the airport together with Mitsubishi last March. And in addition to that, we also invest in the Kumamoto Airport. That was a concession of the government, similar like Kansai Airport, which the currently Benoit-san is taking the management. We also invest in the Kumamoto for about 15% shares of the joint venture, and the shareholder of that airports were about 15, too many. And one of the most uniqueness of the airport concession comparing with other part of the world, they didn't have any pre-qualification. Actually, they have we need to propose 2 times. However, not similar like other part of the world. We need to submit proposal, not just a PQ for the first stage. And what the government are going to do is shortlisted for the three parties. And then, the three party need to submit the official proposal, which includes so many information. Then the governments are going to conduct, evaluation based on the comprehensive evaluation, not technical evaluation. Then they are going to open the price proposal. That's usually conducted by the outside Japan. But what the government of Japan are conducting is a comprehensive evaluation. This is one of the unique case of the Japanese concession. And then the other things, what I could point out is usually many developing country like Philippines or Myanmar, they used to request to airport operator to hold shares of the joint venture. But in Japan, there are no requirements of the airport operators' investment. That's quite unique. So company like us, as the Stephane introduced, we are general trading house, and we didn't have any experience of conducting the airport operation. However, we could be a investor, and actually we are conducting the airport operation together with our partner. That's the unique things of the Japanese concession. Sorry to speak wrong.
I don't think that was wrong. So would you say? I mean, I'm curious because from the outside, I think looking at the process, the Japanese process outside looking in, it seemed very complex for some companies. We heard a lot. We received a lot of questions saying how do you get involved in this project, in these projects? A lot of local players banding together, in the community, in the regions where the airports are located. How, as a foreign investor, how do you get involved in this? It was a very, very difficult thinking process, and also it's something that companies generally would do on the long term, but all of a sudden they had to find friends very quickly in the Japanese market. It seemed fairly difficult to do. When you were looking at projects abroad in Russia, in Palau, and Mongolia, were you faced with similar issues?
Yeah, actually, that is true. But frankly speaking, we Sojitz is general trading house, and we have maintained so many offices outside Japan, almost hundreds of offices located in the outside Japan. And we also maintained so many subsidiary, which could be about 200. So from Sojitz, our company's point of view, it was not so difficult to find the suitable local players who shows the strong interest in co-investing into the airport project. However, company who didn't have such kind of presence in outside their country. Of course, it seems quite difficult.
I see. So I guess that's the message, is like, if foreign companies, foreign operators want to get involved in Japan, they need to be here and develop their network over a long period of time until they have the necessary connections to come into these projects.
Yeah, true.
Unless they have a very strong partner like Vanci had with Oryx, I guess. So maybe I can ask Benoit about that experience that they had privatizing Kansai Kuko or Kansai airports.
Yes, thank you, Stephane. So yes, I'm a Benoit Rulleau. I'm a co-CEO of Kansai Airports. So nice to meet you all, even if I don't see you. Yes, a few things, a few elements. First, I believe, if my memory is correct, but actually for the deal of Kansai Airports, I believe Japanese government required that the consortium is made of a foreign airport operation expert together with a Japanese local partner.
That's
And
correct.
this is exactly what we did here. I think it was a requirement for our concession. I know, and I think also it was afterward, it was no longer a requirement for the following concession deals. But for ours, it was. And this is how we came up to partner with Oryx. So Vanci Airports and Oryx got this partnership. I think from the international airport operator, there were many candidates, but there was only one candidate internally in Japan, because I believe most of the Japanese companies were afraid of the ground settlement in KIX, which is quite a challenging issue and looked very risky in terms of investment. So I think most of the Japanese companies were thinking, okay, this first concession maybe is a bit risky. Let's see what happens and go for the next term. And we jump in the next rounds. And Oryx was the only in Japan willing to go on this offer, and they selected us. They selected the Vanci Airport to be their partner. So this is how we came up to partner together. And yes, finding a partner in Japan is very important. Oryx suggested that we don't only go with the two of us, but also add some local partners. So the result is that we have a balanced shareholding between Oryx and Vanci, but we also have many minority shareholders from Kansai region, some banks, some railway companies, many different companies are our shareholders. And this gives us a very good grounding in the local economy and support when we talk about development of a region and so on. So I think this is very important to find this. When you enter Japanese market, it's very important to find a strong partner with clear capabilities, and also some other companies which will be like if you want, the cheerleading crew to support the project and to make sure that the project is accepted locally and with a strong community support.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned the sinking part of the project that was scary to a lot of Japanese players. I always thought that it was interesting that the Japanese government would pick the most challenging airport and one of the biggest airports in Japan to start their privatization process, instead of starting with small airports and then move to the more complex and more difficult ones. Vinci was there at the beginning of this privatization process, and I just saw recently that the first time that Vinci and the Kansai Airport didn't show a profit, that the profit were not increasing, was just in March this year, because of course of the current global situation. But until then, apparently every quarter you were showing an increase in profit. So
Yes.
it shows that the process was very beneficial for Vanci and Oryx. But can you tell us more about what happened between privatization and the moment that we're living in right now, which has so much success for the two partners?
Yeah, there's many things to say about this. So first, maybe to answer your question, why Japanese government started with this project? I believe because KIX airport was carrying so much debt. It was very important for Japanese government to take care of this public debt and make sure it will be put in a controlled and put in a box thanks to this concession scheme. So this concession scheme for Japanese government was a way to make sure the debt attached to KIX was controlled and managed. And then, yes, you're right. After the concession started, we immediately tried our best to improve the management. So I have many examples on this. One example is that it's typical of Japanese airports to focus operations, like operation means in Japan airside operations, while the terminal operation, the landside operation, is mostly understood as a non-aero activity, the management of the shops and things, which is mostly managed by non-aero. The actual terminal building operations is clear for domestic, clearly, but also a little bit for international, is led to the airlines. The terminal operations for domestic are clearly airlines. The security is managed by the airlines. The checking, the BHS, everything is managed by the airlines. So one thing we did for KIX and international, we expanded the responsibility of the operational department to make sure they also manage the land side and the terminal operations, including checking, including security. And in the case of domestic, actually, last year, approximately 1 year ago, we managed to take over the responsibility of security, passenger security screening from the airlines in Italy. And now we operate the security screening, which is very important because we can invest. We introduced smart lanes. We were the first airport to introduce smart lanes in our Terminal 2 for international traffic first. And now we also introduce smart lanes for domestic in Italy. Thanks to this ability we had to take responsibility for the security screening. So we really try to take control of our airport operations. We also did a very comprehensive review of the investment plan, trying to reduce investment when there's not so much necessary for the airport, but try to focus on the very important things. So one of the first investment we managed was the end of the concession of Terminal 2, of the expansion of Terminal 2 for international traffic. Whereas I just said, we introduced the first smart lanes in Japan. We also introduced, we changed the initial plan to introduce CUTE checking instead of specific airline system, to have a generic system, which we are very happy to have today. Then we just ended a few months ago the renovation of Itami Airport. So we invested a total of 40 billion yen, approximately $400 million, in the renovation of Itami Airport, introducing, as I said, smart security and expanding, completely changing the layout, and also having more commercial activity airside after the security. This is also the first in Japan. In Japan, usually the domestic terminals have all the commercial activity on the land side, because there's the belief that you can not only sell to the passengers, but also to the visitors of the airport. But we think that it's important when the passengers are airside, they feel relieved. They finished checking, they completed checking and security, and now they can take their time and do the shopping they want to do. And also they have this feeling of being privileged customers. So this unique, only this time they can go to this place and buy this product, which is unique to the airport, to the airside airport in Italy. And so this is our strategy. So we are also changing the strategy to please the customers, of course, to increase our revenues. And I think, as you said, Stephane, we have been quite successful until the crisis. Also, I wanted to point it out that, as you know, we were, as we say in Japanese, we were attacked by a typhoon JB in 2018, and we are our bridge, connecting bridge in KIX, severely damaged. We had flooding in electrical rooms, and but despite this, we could recover quite quickly. And despite this, actually, we still had good financial result in 2018. After this, together with Japanese government and our renters, we decided to invest 54 billion yen for BCP measures, mostly in KICS, with the support of Japanese government. So also Vanci and Oryx together, we are responsible investors. We are not just not here for the money. We are here also to make sure our airports are sustainable. Our airports are fulfilling their responsibility as a connection, as a gateway and a connecting facilities for the region of Kansai and for Japan, and to make sure our passengers are safe at the airport. So this BCP project is a very important additional investment, but we are very happy to do it because we believe it's very important for the security and safety of the passengers and for the safety of our business.
Thank you. And so just to finish, because we touched upon it, and I'm sure it's the question on everybody's lips, is the airport still sinking?
It is sinking. Actually, it is sinking 5 to 7 centimeters per year on island 1, and between 20 and 30 centimeters per year on island number 2. So it's significant sinking. Part of the BCP program that I just talked about, we are raising the seawalls around the airport. And also we are adding tetrapods around the tapods. We are adding 20, sorry, I have a figure somewhere here. We are adding, I believe, 25,000. No, sorry, it's 40,000 tetrapods around the islands.
Wow.
That's 600,000 tons of concrete.
Wow. Incredible. So, Saito-san, I think it feels like maybe you have it a little bit easier in your projects. Can you tell us more about your plans for I guess Miyakojima is still a bit early, but for Kumamoto, you started already. What do you see as coming up? Like, what are your obligations, and what do you see as the things that you really want to do with Kumamoto Airport?
Yes, as which was introduced in the screen, passenger volume is like 3.4 million last year. It was 10 times smaller than Kansai Airport. One of the uniqueness of the Kumamoto Airport was, as you know, Kumamoto was damaged by the biggest earthquake, and this concession was the first project to demolish the current terminal and newly need to construct a new terminal. That was unique of the Kumamoto Airport. So recently, we started the terminal operation from last July, and we conduct both operation airside and land side from last April. And now what we are doing is selection of the EPC contractor who are going to conduct the construction of this terminal. And unfortunately, we got a same level of the attack from the COVID-19 in Kumamoto as well. But although we have conducted several negotiations with government, unfortunately, we couldn't get the release from the government, so that we need to conduct construction in properly. So most likely, we will start the construction of the new terminal from coming January, and we'll finalize it. We'll complete the construction by 2024. 23. That was the requirement. Yeah, government requested us to finish the construction within the 3 years. That is our obligation. So, and we have already selected one of the EPC contractor for them, and conducting the final negotiation to reduce the capex cost. That was the current situation of the Kumamoto. And another biggest issue was, as you can see, they completely rely on the domestic passengers. The only international flight were from the Korea and Taiwan. However, of course, they suspended the flight like now, so that we felt that quite big difficulty, because the Japanese government has how to say intention to start reopening the international flight from the biggest city like Osaka, Kansai, or Haneda, Narita, and Fukuoka. So our biggest concern is when government is going to allow us to motivate international carrier to fly into Kumamoto. That is the current issues we are facing.
So before you didn't really have time before the global crisis hit. You didn't really have time to improve or to benefit from the privatization as a company yet.
Yes, true.
I see. Just for the audience that's with us right now, if you have any questions for Benoit or Saito-san, you can use the chat function top right corner of your interface, and just plug in your questions in there, and we'll address them at the end of the session. So Saito-san, just to go back to you, I'd like you to tell us a little more about your other Japanese airport, because I will be visiting next week, and I'd like to know what I should expect when I arrive at Miyakojima. Have you done anything yet?
Yes. This Miyakojima is a really tiny island, and as far as I understand, Jetstar Japan used to maintain the flight from Kansai to Shimojishima. But recently, they suspend because during the winter season, Jetstar usually postpone suspend the flight, because Miyakojima is really popular for the summer vacation season. But even it's located in the Okinawa prefecture, winter season is not so favorable for the tourists to come in, because of the so many windy days and rainy days. And the reason why Okinawa prefecture decided to privatize this Shimoshima airport was because of the capacity of the current Miyakojima airports were full. They accepted 2 million passengers, but the terminal capacity is almost full. In addition to that, the current airports located in the completely downtown district, so that even if they expect, the airline wish to fly into like over 11 p.m. or so, it's cause a noise issue, similar like Itami airports, which are managed. So, as I said, from the Okinawa prefecture's point of view, assembling the not only Japanese but also international passengers from because Okinawa prefecture is very close to Taiwan and China. So that what they are aiming is to assemble the international passenger who wish to come to the Miyakojima to utilize this airport. As I said, this airport was constructed like 30 years ago, and Japan Airlines as well as the ANA used to use this facility for the pilot training. So because of that situation, even this airport is really tiny. They have a long runway, 3,000, which can accommodate the 777. So what we are aiming is to conduct the airport sales to motivate Chinese carrier as well as a Korean carrier who has a big aircraft and wish them to conduct a charter flight. during the summer season. That is, currently we are aiming. I cannot hear you, Stephen.
Your mic is off.
Sorry, I was muted. Happens a lot. So I'm a bit curious. I mean, the privatization process has kind of a lot of airports have been privatized already in Japan. There's a total, I think, of 97 airports or 93 airports in Japan, and so far about 7 in Hokkaido. There's been maybe another 10 airports that have been privatized so far, if you include like the smaller ones like Tottori and so on.
Right.
So what do you see for the near future in Japan? Like we hear a lot about Kagoshima and other strategic airports that are going to be privatized, but the process will be not so fast. Like the first few airports, a lot of them were privatized very, very quickly, Sendai, etc. But going forward, it looks like the process has slowed down quite a bit. But there's still a few interesting airports in the lot. Like Okinawa is a very interesting one. Kagoshima is also interesting. What do you see as the airports that are going to be coming on the market in the next year or two? And the key question is, will Sojitz be involved?
Yes. Yeah, Stephenson, what you said is true. Since because of the uncertainty of the whether airport can accept the international flight or not, that is a very big issue. So that the many local prefecture is become conservative to agree to conduct the privatization process. But as far as I understand, within 3 years, I think at least 3 airports will be coming to the bidding stage. That is, our expectation.
Which ones?
Yeah, that is my personal opinion. But
Of course.
One is Niigata. Niigata Airport is located west side. West side.
Yep.
Yeah, west side of Japan. And most likely 2 airports which will be located in the Kyushu area.
Okay. Yes.
That is our thinking.
And is Sojitz going to be involved in those processes? Are you going to be actively seeking to get involved in more airports in Japan?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Because not like Kansai Airport, we cannot enjoy the big profit by managing this size of the airports. So that what we are thinking is to take part in the several airports and would like to combine it as a one airport. Because for example, if we maintain so many good relationship with airlines, so that what we are thinking is if we can take part in the 2 airports or 3 airports in Japan, we will take the responsibility of airport sales by ourselves. That is quite efficient for the all airports which are located in the local site.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Benoit, back to you. Same question. Vanci, Oryx, the super duo. Are you going to be looking at more opportunities in Japan, or is this it? Is your Japanese adventure done? Is that it? Or are you going to? We all noticed that you were not in Hokkaido. And so it begs the question: is there more opportunities of interest for Vanci in Japan?
Okay, this I'm not in a position. I'm not in the development team, so I'm not in a position to give you a very clear answer on this. But clearly, if there are interesting opportunities, we will go, and I'm quite confident we will go with our partner Oryx. I think we have a good partnership. Was 4 years and a half together have helped us to understand each other better and to work together well. And I think we find a lot of complementarity in our two companies. So I believe clearly on Japanese market we will go together. Hokkaido, yes, we are very unlucky. We were unfortunately the typhoon JB arrived at the bad timing, and it set us off for the competition in Hokkaido.
Right.
I believe we had quite a good chance there, but this typhoon arrived exactly at the worst time, and not put us in a good situation to be able to look at two issues at the same time, or to concentrate on at the same time on the management in Kansai and to look at the development in Hokkaido. Unfortunately, clearly about this, I think in Kansai you had the luck to start in 2016, and so we had 4 years to improve the operations and invest and change the management of the airport and make some profit actually before this COVID crisis arrived, and this allows us to be strong and ready to go through the crisis. I know unfortunately that the newest concession, which we are just started at the beginning of this year, Hokkaido and I believe also in Kyushu, Fukuoka, I believe, didn't have this luck. They started at the worst time, and it's a very, very tough situation for them. We have discussions with them. We have a network of airports in Japan, of private airports in Japan, trying to help each other and to do lobbying together, advocating for in particular, trying to help government and find solutions for the reopening of the borders, which is, of course, absolutely critical for our activity. Together with ACI, with a very, very strong support of ACI Asia Pacific, and also working together with IATA. And I think this is very important to talk about this. Is IATA and ACI have a very strong relationship and partnership on this issue of fighting COVID and getting the international traffic back on track. One topic I wanted to touch about is the three airports synergies. Saito-san just talked about his views on possible synergies once you manage several airports. So as you know, in Kansai we manage 3 airports. So we have Kixi and Itami, which we had in the concession in 2016. And then in 2018, we added Kobe Airport to the group. So 3 airports. And here we have one very important strength here is that those airports are close together. They are not walking distance yet, but they are driving distance clearly. So we can have staff really working on the 3 platforms and having responsibilities on the 3 platforms. And this is we are trying to make use of this advantage we have and to communalize the teams to manage, for example, security screening for the passengers. To have one team manage this for the 3 airports, getting really specialized, understanding what are the requirements by Japanese regulation, and to manage the equipment investment. Maybe transfer some equipment from one platform to the other, and have a better way to manage the contracts with security companies for the staffing of the security and so on and so forth. So security is an example, but we do this in all the fields. We do it in the technical field also. We have one infrastructure team overlooking the 3 airports. We are undergoing the renovation of the 5 runways we have. It's more or less one runway per year, and we have one team doing this for the 3 airports. So we are using this both synergies and in particular this proximity, physical proximity that allows us to have the same teams being one day in one airport and the other day in another one. As you might know, Vanci also has a network of airports in different countries. In Cambodia, we have 3 airports. In Portugal, we have 10 airports. In France, we have I don't know how many, but 10 airports also in France. But only in Japan we have this physical proximity, which changed the situation. I mean, compared to Cambodia, where it's not easy to travel from one airport to the other, here we can do it, and it creates really a different perspective.
So just we're going to go into the Q&A session, but just before, it's just a question that's kind of it's burning my lips. But you talked about like you're playing with Oryx in Japan, that they are your partner, preferred not only preferred but seemingly your privileged partner in Japan. Any discussions, and again you'll probably answer, you're not part of the development team, but any chance to see Oryx go on to the international scene with Vanci or without Vanci?
This I don't know. Probably not excluded. I don't know what is the strategy of Oryx in this field. I don't know if they want to develop another airports abroad, or if they want just to stay in Japan regarding airports. They do have, of course, international activities in other fields, but I don't know what is their intentions for this. One thing I would like to mention is that in Japan, fidelity and trust, relationship of trust, is very important. And once you have a partner, I mean, it's a partner for the long term, and the long-term commitment is very, very important here.
Thank you very much. Saito-san, we talked about Japan a little bit, and the same thing just before we go into the Q&A session. More airports on the international scene, still interested in working abroad. You have 5 airports now that you're involved in outside of Japan. How many more do you want?
Yes, frankly speaking, as much as possible is my personal preferable. But the reason why we think it's better for us to take part in the airport operation in domestic market is, as I said, there is no requirement for the airport operator to take part in the NAV. So that we will be able to get the knowledge and the skills and the experience. The reason why we would like to have such kind of a skill is, of course, we are targeting to take part in the airport operation mainly in Southeast Asia, because aviation traffic demand growth is much higher in that area. And as far as we understand, at least 100 or 200 airports are needed, not only Southeast Asia, but also India, Myanmar, and so on. So there is so many opportunity within the 10 years or 15 years. So we have a long view. We wish to be a airport operator in, let's say, 5 years or 6 years, and we like to be take part in the airport operation, mainly in the outside Japan. That is our target.
I think this is something we discussed the first time we ever had a meeting together.
Right. We still,
You're very consistent. That's good. That's good. Takeuchi-san has a question. If you can read it yourself in the chat section, I'll read it quickly just so that in case some people are not able to go and check it out in the chat section. Takeuchi-san says, I think Japanese concession market is challenging in the second phase. The feasibility study of Niigata, Oita, and Komatsu airports are going on, and we are talking with Japanese government on how to change the structure so that more participants can come in. These airports are not large, but if such a move succeed, I think it will lead to larger participants coming to the Japanese airport concession market. What do you think about these movements? I think Saito-san, you talked a little bit about this, so I'll let you maybe answer this.
That is a really difficult question. And I think that the size of the airport is not so big comparing with the international markets. Like, for example, Niigata, Oita, Komatsu, their annual passenger volume is about less than 3 million. So in general, that seems quite difficult to attract international, operator like Vanci or Changi or ADP to come into this competition, because they understand the profitability of the airports, which passenger volume is less than 5 million, is very, very small. So that even if they can get, take part in the airport operation of such kind of the airport, they understand that seems to be not a waste of time, but they cannot, earn much profit. So my answer is, just concentrating on assembling the, Japanese investor like us is the best way for them to consider.
Well, I mean, so we saw what they did with the Hokkaido, the 7 airports in Hokkaido. The idea was to sell really a network of airports, helping the smaller airports by using like the revenues of the bigger airport.
Right.
I think having just small airports in that kind of package would be very, very challenging if you don't have like a big airport to kind of drag the other airports. However, yeah, there's some companies I can think of one, AINA, like the Spanish operator. They're really good at doing these networks of smaller airports, community regional airports. Maybe like a player like this coming into the Japanese market could bring something pretty strong to the table. Do you think that's something that is being considered, like bringing people with that very, very specific expertise in regional airports? Is that something that people think about, like in the Japanese market, like namely like MLIT and so on, and the prefectures and?
Well,
That's a big question.
yes, but yeah, I personally think that that is not so, the way which the local government is wishing, because what the local prefecture is thinking is to assemble the passenger to their airport. So talking about the Hokkaido case, that is easy, because Hokkaido is also it's a big island. Its local government is only one, so that it's
Right.
quite easy for them to bound like that way. But when it comes to the other airports, each airport has each local prefecture, and the local prefecture is wished to satisfy the local company who has a base in
Yes.
that area. So frankly speaking, the boundary of the local airports, except Okinawa or Hokkaido, seems to be quite difficult. That is my answer.
Right. Benoit, anything you want to add? Any views on this?
No, I completely agree with this last discussion. In Japan, the largest airport are national asset. The middle and smaller airport are usually like a regional or prefecture asset. There's 47 prefectures in Japan, and like mostly each of them has its own airport, which is a mid to small size, and they compete against each other basically. So creating a network, I mean, they will not go together and create a one concession with several airports together. No way. So maybe the operator himself could do it. Maybe if you get an airport in Hiroshima and then in Yamaguchi or whatever, you can create your own network, but it will not be organized by the local governments or the national governments, except in a place where they do have naturally several airports, like it's the case in Hokkaido.
Hokkaido, yes. And Okinawa, I think, would be a good candidate for something like that as well.
Yes, exactly, Okinawa, yes. Because so many islands and so many very small airports.
Exactly. Yeah. And the Okinawa Island itself is the Naha Airport has I think over 25 million passenger, maybe even more.
Right.
So it would be very similar to the Shinchitose and all the regional airport bundle that we had in Hokkaido.
Right.
And then there's also Tokyo. Tokyo has many small islands in the south, in the Pacific, right. but they have many very, very, very small airports, but no. I mean, Haneda is national asset. Right?
True.
So
I think I'm getting a message saying that our session is over. So, well, thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate it. It was very educational, and I hope that our attendees enjoyed it as well. These are the other sessions that Modalis is organizing during the GAD 2020. So make sure to check us out. And again, thank you very much for your participation, Benoit and Saito-san, and to all our attendees as well. Thank you.
thank you.
Bye bye.